So continuing on from there, everybody has their instincts, and mine. When I first talked to Joe Sepulveda, every alarm in my head that could possibly go off that said "con man" went off. Now that is all just really subjective, but a lifetime of business experience in every possible industry because of my ADHD or partly. I've come across some con men. If he's not one, he is acting identically to every con man I've ever come across in my life. And he lied in that meeting. What happened at the Cures Agency didn't. And as you know, when people make little lies, there are a bunch of little lies and disconnects. That's always a warning signal that something bad is about to happen. Um, so I was just creeped out, so creeped out by this guy. He wanted control. He was acting, I don't like to use this word, almost like he wanted to dominate me. It was just creepy. I wasn't allowed to ask him questions. I just had to accept whatever he wanted. I didn't want anything to do with this dude. I immediately wrote a letter and asked to be put in my patient portal, telling him, telling administration that he should have no access to my medical or psychiatric records at all. I just wanted to get rid of him, and that was that. Um, and it was weird because why should I have to have anything to do with him? Um, so I talked to the administrator, and they did nothing to help. They claimed, oh, we bent over backwards for Mr. Gordon. They did nothing. The best they could do was come up with a phone number to my insurance provider, which is a wholly owned, it's called Community, another issue, but they're a wholly owned subsidiary of family healthcare centers. So it went in a circle for a while. But what the administrator told me on the phone call after I put that letter in, I found very upsetting. Um, I was talking about how the conversation went. I'm trying to think of what I said to trigger this, but she said, he says he is your psychiatrist. Like somehow I had no say in the matter. Like he could just proclaim himself to be my psychiatrist. And I'm so lowly. And so I freaked out when she said that. I said, no, hell no, 1,000 times no. I was extremely loud. It was upsetting to me. It was like if somebody you hated called you and said, I'm in control of you now. I don't think anybody would like that. So that letter was put in. He said he was my psychiatrist. He apparently ordered drug tests for me. This is shocking. It's a little sick. I haven't gone into it yet. But of course, I did some research on him, Joe Sepulveda, and he's got a very urine-centric career, urine testing centric career. That's the best I can put it. He is a proponent of something called contingency planning. Um, And it's considered to be so demeaning that no federal, state, or local agency will even consider funding it. And what it is, you give prizes for clean drug tests. So if you have a clean drug test, you'll give a donut. He always works with captive populations, by the way. So I think he thought I was his prisoner or I had been committed to him. I don't know. It's so weird. But he thinks he can force himself on me. So he's apparently ordered drug tests. This story just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So I wrote a letter kicking him out, and either probably as a reaction to that, he's entered something on my medical records. I didn't find this out till much later. So after I heard that he was ordering drug tests for me and was claiming he was my psychiatrist, they have a family healthcare centers has a system designed to prevent patient feedback. Everything about that whole organization is extremely opaque. Um, I use their patient portal in a way. They don't want to have any patient feedback, so they design it so you can enter like 2 sentences. Well, I enter probably 20 sentences about what happened, which apparently that somehow is horrible also. Um, and from what I wrote, I'll publish it somewhere. It was strong, but I think within bounds. They kicked me out of both my medical and both my mental health and medical. Completely kicked out. No, nothing. No help. No nothing. They didn't. Family healthcare centers just is there to cash in on people, cash in on low people, not to help them. Um, So I spent the next 2 months, couple months the next month trying to figure out what this healthcare provider was. And all they could do is refer me back to Family Healthcare Center. They talked about putting in a grievance. I put in a grievance and they said that nothing happens on any of these grievances. So around and around and around I go. Um, Finally, after a massive amount of effort, I got another psychiatrist. But it was very, very odd. One of the first things she said to me, she seemed okay at first, and even kind of that sense of humor, which is kind of important to me. But it was very odd. She goes, okay, listen, I'd like you to cut down on cannabis. And I thought that was kind of the oddest thing to say. Like, I didn't know where it came from. And then she said, well, I read an article or something. She cited some scientific journal that cannabis and the medications for ADHD shouldn't be taken, which I agree with. And I don't really want, I didn't never really want them anyway when I'm on medications. So I said, oh yeah, fine, I'll cut back, which I guess I go see my friend Ken. That means doing a little less every whatever. It just didn't, I said fine. But that was just a weird disconnect. Then at our next meeting, she got really stronger on the cannabis stuff, and it turned into an argument. She says, all right, listen, I want you to start using cannabis no more than once a week. And then it was like, I want you to it's something like, I want you to cut down cannabis to just once a week. And that was just really odd because I don't use it once a week. So that like flared an argument, and she started talking about, I'm going to give you a drug test. And I finally said, whatever, go ahead. I don't believe in drug tests. I think they're a real violation of our constitutional rights. I'll be going into that later. But the U.S. Constitution originally said, unreasonable searches and seizures. And I can't think of anything more unreasonable than a search of your body fluids. I did take the drug test 100% clean, including cannabis. Just there's not enough in my blood to give a positive drug test. But they seem to want so badly. So I had that. My third meeting with her was even more contentious. And remember, this is not Family Healthcare Centers. I'm gone. I've been kicked out. I've been cheated out of both my medical and mental health care. So third, even more, we're arguing about cannabis. And the argument was something like this. And it was the same thing Derek Aragon had done to me, where you use information someone gives you, and then you turn around and use it against them. That's not something other people do in business or anything else, and it's just weird. So I told her she did that. I'm the one that told you I occasionally, rarely, but occasionally use this stuff, and now you're using it against me. You're making me go across town to, demeaning to urinate. And she said, no. She said, no, I didn't do it that way. I got the information from your last psychiatrist, the guy after the one that you'd been with for 2 years. And Sepulveda, he has apparently put some kind of statement on my psychiatric records that have now gone forward and are preventing me from getting mental health care at a new provider. That is outrageous. I consider him claiming he's my psychiatrist at all to be fraud. But now, going into altering my records, I consider that record tampering. That's criminal. I'm trying to get some agency to look at that. None of them seem very responsive, but that's shocking to me. And what I think is a little bit worse, he went into my prescriptions and removed the psychiatric meds, making it look like, they had been removed by a professional doctor. I think this is outrageous. My meeting with him, by the way, was online less than 10 minutes. My estimate would be 7 or 8 minutes. There just wasn't that much to say. He had denied my request right off the bat that, I get 2 months and I'll be out. He's very much a my way or the highway guy. So from this, they went ahead. Apparently, I posted a large volume of material about this, And they went ahead and issued a restraining order against me, um, for both Sepulveda and Aragon, saying I had made threats. I did never make threats. I'm 67 years old. I made threats, but not physical ones. I said I was going to call the medical department. I guess that's a threat. But the restraining order is supposed to be threats of violence. So they went through a large volume of material and cherry picked things, little snippets here and there, really dishonest. They would cherry pick things out of context, um, and then redefine them to be really evil. The trolling activity, if you want to know what happens on the metaphor, that's how really nasty internet trolls act. Even that kind of behavior is getting weird. It doesn't even happen in politics. There's a line where you can't do that. You can't pick something out of context. They did that. The one they liked the best was a video I made where I said I was a lone wolf with nothing to lose. And that was actually in context, in a discussion about power. Some important lessons. They should have listened to it. I'm going to redo that. But that's what they used to do their best to make me look like a violent psychopath. I'm going to wind this up pretty soon, but it worked. I went to court, and the judge believed them that I'm a giant, violent psychopath. Extremely dishonest way they did it. And now I have lost my rights as an American to have a firearm for the next 3 years. I'm 67 now, so I've lost one of my basic American rights, and I won't get it back till I'm 70. So I'm no longer a free American like you guys. I no longer have the same rights. Now, I want to say something important here. I've never been much of a gun person. I actually don't really like guns. It would be too strong to say I hate guns, but I am in favor of good, responsible gun ownership, good regulations, good regulations. But that is an American right that's been taken to me. But the bigger thing is, I'm not as equal as everyone else now. And as you know, AB5 people, equality is incredibly important to you. And also the ADHD people maybe I've connected with. Equality is important to you as well. What I can tell you with very little doubt is people at family healthcare centers of San Diego don't care about equality, don't believe in equality. They believe, and I need to talk to some people who know more about the psychological field and the mental health field, if that's common. Because when I was with Dr. Urbe, I never had any doubt that he thought we were equals. He knew I had some problems, but we were two adults working on a problem that didn't work. He solved it. But I understand with psychologists, there's supposed to be a superior. I won't put it in positive terms, like a mentor-mentee relationship, superior, inferior. That doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on, I think, most ADHD people or the kinds of people I met in the AB5 battle. It's just, we like equality. So everything in my life is more or less falling apart. I'm now a criminal in my own society. My mental health care system is all but destroyed. My business and everything that started 6 months ago was destroyed. I'm trying to put the pieces back together. Obviously, I have to file my own lawsuits now. By the way, the law firm put together, Mulvaney, I'll come up with their name, volumes of material. I bet it cost a fortune to do what they did. I'm going to try to find out. But family health care centers, they don't care. They're spending government and donor money. They don't care about it. A normal psychiatrist would be really worried about this, but they don't pay their insurance, and they don't even pay their insurance increases if they get in a lawsuit. So there's no dissuasion at all, and that's why. Then that explains Sepulveda's smirk. He knew there was very little I can do, and he wanted to. He had ultimate power over me, and so I am trying to reclaim my power, and he's winning. So I'm going to cut that off now because the story goes on for on and on and on, and it gets worse and worse and worse. But I'm totally convinced there's something akin to criminal activity, definitely patient abuse, without a doubt, fraud, and at best, substandard care. at family healthcare centers of San Diego. They're not taking it seriously. The government is not taking it seriously. I've lost my Second Amendment rights, but they're not going to get my First Amendment rights. I'm talking again. I'm going to talk loud and publicly. This was not my failure. I failed a lot in my life. I acknowledge it when I fail, many times, more times than you can count. I try to learn when I fail. This is not my failure. This is the failure of the administration of family healthcare centers of San Diego. They should have taken care of the Sepulveda situation. There's one more thing I want to tell you. In the virtual courtroom, which by the way is incredibly unfair, really sloppy, messy, but the judge, you know, I forget the judge's question, but he didn't ask very many questions. But when Sepulveda came on, I was allowed to ask him questions. He said a couple things that shocked me, but shouldn't have shocked me. One he said, oh, this is really horrible. He said that in this meeting, I asked for drugs under the table. I was horrified, and I interrupted. You know, I have ADHD. Like all adults, I've learned how to control myself. I don't interrupt people all the time. But that's the main symptom of ADHD. And Joe Sepulveda told the most outrageous, bald-faced lie that I was just shocked and I interrupted. The lie was this. He said that I tried to buy drugs under the table from him. Bald-faced lie. I want to publicly offer the board of directors of family healthcare centers and any administrator, I will take a lie detector test to prove he's right. If they want to have him take a lie detector test, fine. But I am willing to take a lie detector test to prove he's lying. So I just want to get that out of the way right away. The second thing, in some of the court papers, you would not even believe the number of new diagnoses I got. Dangerous sounding diagnosis. I'll go over them later. But just, I was a violent psychopath about to go on a murderous rampage. They had the sheriff's office at my front door twice last week, once before. Really sleazy. I'm going to do that in another video. The really sleazy law firm. But that's where we stand now. I've got a lying psychiatrist who more or less destroyed my life. I'm now under some kind of court order. I no longer have my Second Amendment rights. So I would like to connect more with people in that area. Anybody who has had a similar experience. I know on my last Twitter tweet a while back, a number of people have also gotten screwed by family healthcare centers. So please reach out to me if that's your case. If you've also had a similar thing go on with them. I'm going to start rambling. I'm stopped rambling on this. I had to get this off my chest, so to speak. But there's much more. I'm going to start vlogging again. I'm going to try to include lessons that are positive in each one, even though this was, you know, a horribly negative experience for me. But something has to happen. I'm going to be working on this every day, almost every day, at least 6 days. Yes, just a few days ago when I was really upset, it was going to be 12 hours a day every day now. But now I'm going to put my best morning energy into making someone know what's going on at family healthcare centers of San Diego. I'm going to do it at least 6 days a week. I'll be working all weekend on this. So thank you if you've listened to this whole long thing. I know it's rambling. I know it's partially incoherent. So you've got my admiration if you listen. I'm doing this mostly for me at this point to kind of organize my own thoughts. But I could use all the friends I can get right now. If you had similar experience with bad experience in the mental health field, any experience with family healthcare centers, any of my old ADHD buddies, I was starting to make a few friends online and from my real world support group and that. Feel free to reach out to me. If 2020 wasn't a shitty enough year, the family healthcare centers did everything in their power to make it devastating. Thanks a bunch for listening. I'm going to be back with a little bit more. I hope you're having a wonderful day.